radio to me is that a ventriloquist and his doll ended up starring in one of the most successful ever radio comedy shows. I mean, a ventriloquist on radio. The show was called Educating Archie, and it became a springboard for young talent to become major stars. Now, before we meet two of them this evening, let's take a look at young Archie when he transferred to television.
Now, have you had your breakfast?
Oh, yes, Brough. I had 8 sausages and 3 eggs.
What? You ate all that alone?
Oh, no, I had some salt and mustard with them.
Oh, did you?
Yes, and then I helped Mrs. Twistle with the washing up.
Oh, I wondered why your hands were so clean.
Mr. Brough.
Yes, Mrs. Twistle?
Mr. Brough, you'll have to do something about young Archie.
Well, now what's the matter?
Well, when I wasn't looking, he went and tipped a whole bottle of glue into my wash-up water.
Well, I had to gum up somebody's work.
Archie Andrews, Irene Handel and Peter Brough. Now, let's meet the lady who was Archie's girlfriend on the radio, Beryl Reid.
Yes. Ed Arch.
Yeah. Happy days at Ed Arch.
Oh, wonderful. Because Peter Brough had the, a sort of, I don't know what it was a genius for getting people who were on the crest of the wave and giving them that little push which we all needed to become well-known on radio.
Yes, of course, there were so many stars that
Oh, I
started
know.
Educating Archie. Now, you played Monica and Marley. Is that
Yes.
where you started, Monica and Marley?
There was a little girl who lived next door to my mother, and she said she wasn't supposed to come through the fence, you see, and said, "Oh, hello, Mrs. Reid, aren't I squeezy?" So, of course, it all mounted up, and then I had a terrible stepdaughter who said, "She's my best friend, you know, and I hate her." And I got a Henry Hall guest night, and I thought, I wonder if I should do the schoolgirl. And the next big thing was that Peter Brough came along and said, "Would you like to be in Educating Archie?" And I nearly went mad. And I never thought anybody'd give me a good job. And I always dressed up for the radio shows. Oh, in my original school uniform, which I've still got.
As if you were on a theatre stage.
Oh, yes. Because you feel a bit of a nana going, "Oh, I'm absolutely fed up," if you're dressed as a civilian. I had these black stockings all torn and this filthy hanky up my knickers. I mean, you see, when I was at school, if it was, oh, what's that? Smellina, we used to call it. Semolina. Yes, that went straight into my hanky and up my knickers. I know. And to the nearest loo when I got out, but I wouldn't eat. And sago was frog spawn. And so, you know, it was all in my head. And, well, so it progressed.
Thank you. Beryl Reid. Thank you. Well, Beryl is going to stay with us. Now, one of the writers of Educating Archie can't be with us tonight. He's gone to seek even more fame, greater fortune, and a suntan in Australia. But I did manage to eke a few words out of him before he went.
What I did was, I used to write pictures. See, that's why I think that radio isn't fully used today, or never has been, since the Goon Show. And before that, Educating Archie, I used to write word pictures. For instance, in one I remember, was a brass band walking on the pier. And it, and the fella leading them didn't know how to say halt. So at the end of the pier, and the front line dropped off, and he in the second line, till in the end, he just boom, boom, boom. And then he said, what's that word again? And he said, halt. See, now, these are visual jokes.
Yes.
And at the end of every show, we used to do the last section was a thing about Stevenson, who built the first rocket, steam engine. And they had Max Bygraves and Archie and Hancock. And what they were doing, they were building the rocket. And all the sound effects used to have a marvelous time because they were banging tin and bang, dang, dong, 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 dang, dong, dang, dang. Then we have a thing, knock on the door, and Hattie Jakes was playing the mother. She said, I was asleep, boys, and then all the three lads used to go, and then she said, good night then, and as soon as she'd gone, bang, dong, dang, dong, bang, dang. And the payoff to that was every time the mother came in, they pushed all that they had made under the bed. But discovery seemed imminent. The bed was now 9 feet off the floor. But it was word pictures.
Fantasy. Eric Sykes, thank you for joining us.
It's been my pleasure.
How do you have your Christmas turkey on a beach in Perth in Australia? Now, please welcome the man himself, Peter Brough.
Yes, Peter Brough.
Well, it's the vexed question, really, and I'm sure generations to come will have the question, why a ventriloquist on the radio?
Well, I always used to say, well, why not?
Well, it's as good an answer as any, I suppose, Peter.
Yes. And we used to try and capture the imagination of the people. When you're in radio, you have to paint a mind picture with which to capture the imagination of the listeners, you all know. And we tried to do this through Archie Andrews, the character of this cheeky little rascal that all the kids could identify with, you know, right to the country. And then we'd get them as listeners, they'd bring their parents, and we'd end up with a nice big audience and a nice good listening figure and some bread and butter.
And he was so popular, as you said, with the royal family.
Well, I don't know about so popular, but we certainly had the privilege of presenting the royal family household Christmas party. We did that for about 20 years, and most of the people you've seen here tonight, one time and another, have been. Yeah. And I remember one occasion, King George the Sixth.
Wasn't
that was
there
last
then?
year. No, you weren't. He said, look, he said, after we'd been introduced and chatted for a while, he said, look, he said, I'd like to have a look at Archie's head. He says, could I do that? Well, now, ventriloquists never like that sort of thing, as you know. But you can't refuse the king. So we took his head off and he gave it to him. He worked all the controls and showed them to Queen Mother and Princess Elizabeth, as she was then, and Princess Margaret. And they all had a good laugh. And then when they finished, he handed the head back. He says, well, thank you very much. He said, let me tell you, he says, that's the only fellow I've ever beheaded in my reign.
Peter Brough. Thank you. Right. Our thanks to Beryl and Peter.